Hello.
It's all happening in the property market at the moment. The stamp duty holiday is causing a rush to buy, and COVID-19 has put a premium on those larger houses with lots of outside space, not surprisingly. In fact, Zoopla's median asking price is 12% higher than it was this time last year. But many of those people rushing to do deals face disappointment. Explain.
Starting with first-time buyers, the availability of high loan-to-value mortgages has crashed, basically. Money Facts said that back in April there were about 162 95% loan-to-value mortgage products available. By June there were just 12, and even if you go to 90% loan-to-value, Money Facts was talking about 326 products. Now there are only 72, and even when a high loan-to-value product becomes available, the demand is so great that normally they're sold out within days.
But even if you have a mortgage offer in principle, that might not actually mean anything at all.
Yes, there was a development earlier this month whereby, even if you've got a mortgage agreement in principle, you might not get your offer through. I mean, that applies anyway, but this particular case was because Barclays changed its maximum income multiple on one of its most popular mortgages. It was possible to borrow 85% of the money required, 85% loan to value, at an income multiple of 5.5 times, which is obviously made it a very popular product. Without notice, that product was withdrawn and the limit was cut to 4.49 times. So basically, if you'd got an agreement in principle, agreed to buy a property, perhaps undergone survey costs, search costs, solicitor costs, all sorts of costs related to that, and it was reliant on 5.5 times income, you've got a problem. And it might not be your mortgage that's affected. So if you're in a property chain, if anyone in the chain has been affected by this, it could cause the chain to collapse through no fault of your own. And obviously, if you've got to start again, given that the stamp duty deadline is the end of March next year, you're actually kind of running out of time, because from an administrative point of view, mortgages were taking longer even before lockdown. Now, with reduced staffing and more stress on the system, clearly that's going to be a challenge to complete these transactions by the end of March.
But as well as mortgage providers getting nervous about high loan to values and big income multiples, isn't it true that mortgage rates themselves are rising as well?
Yeah, in fact, despite the cut in base rates, which you would imagine would drive mortgage rates down, actually average 2-year fixed rate mortgages have got more expensive over the last few months, particularly for those high loan to value mortgages we were talking about earlier. So a 2-year fixed rate mortgage for 95% would probably cost you about an average of 3.8%. Whereas if you're looking at an 85% mortgage, that's probably about 2.2%. And if you can get it to 60%, then the rate is only 1.4%.
Big difference.
Yeah, no. So there is a big incentive to actually get your loan to value down, if at all possible, or if you're close to a threshold. So let me take an example of a £250,000 home. If you go for a 95% loan to value mortgage, that means you're borrowing £237,500, and at an interest rate of 3.8%, that will cost you £9,025 a year in interest alone. On a monthly basis, that will be £752. But if you could squeeze to 85% loan to value, obviously your loan is smaller, it's £212,500. We worked that out earlier. But that would cost you £4,675 because your interest rate drops to 2.2%. So on a monthly basis, you're talking £389, which is pretty much half the £752 a month you'd be paying on a 95% loan to value basis. So if you can, in this particular example, stretch that extra 25,000, you will be saving yourself almost 4,400 per year, which means you kind of break even on it in less than 6 years. So I know it's easier said than done, but when you put the bare numbers on it, you realise how heavily punished people are being for high loan to value mortgages.
So, given that it seems like some of the mortgage goalposts are being moved a bit here, what are your top tips? So, for people who've applied and who don't want to get rejected.
Right, okay. Well, the most important thing is to do all this before you even speak to a building society or a bank. Basically, check you're on the electoral roll, because if you're not, there are a lot of lenders out there who just won't even look at you. Also, if you have been on furlough or you have taken a mortgage holiday, make sure you've been normalised for at least a month or two before you make an application, because a lot of lenders will automatically reject you if you're on furlough, even if you're pretty confident you're going to be rehired again. The other thing to do, of course, and this applies COVID or no COVID, is to check your credit record. Equifax, Experian, TransUnion, they're all obliged to provide you with a summary of your credit history free of charge, so do check that out. You know, there may be errors, there may be things that are true that you hadn't realised, and you perhaps need to address those before you approach your lender, because lenders don't like there being surprises. So, you know, you really have to know about these things before you make an application, rather than hear it back through a mortgage rejection. One thing to bear in mind is that all three of these agencies are commercial operations, so they will try to suck you into a monthly subscription, but you don't need to go with that to get the free information to which you're entitled. So we hope you found all that useful. If you have, please like, subscribe, tell your friends, comment below, but most of all, please take care out there.